We are very to educate us on this very important subject. Naturally, the question will be, when anybody hears of surgery, we're thinking about the knife, the scissors, the cutting and opening up of the human body in order to, remove some unwanted item in there or repair some damage in the human body. But emotions are intangible. And I find a paradox where you have to perform a surgery, which is physical, on something that is so intangible. How do you explain that? Emotional surgery. What's that?
Well, thank you. Good to see you again. Now, emotional surgery, let me put it this way. See, when someone is not well, the person has to see a medical doctor.
True.
Now, the medical doctor has two options, if I should say. Either to give medication, suspension, injection, syrup, tablets, and if it's not medical, okay, he has to move to surgical by way of removing a defect or correcting that defect. Let's say herniation. An organ can shift from its normal position to a different position. He has to bring it back. It's another form of surgery by correcting that thing.
By herniation, you're talking about hernia?
No, when you say herniation,
okay.
Herniation is an organ moving from its normal position.
Right.
Like we have disc bulge, which is disc herniation. It has shifted from its normal position, so they need to bring it back to its position. That is hernia. Now, he has to use medication to correct any defect, or use surgery by doing section, cutting, removing all that. What if not any of these two? So I had to draw a Venn diagram and also create algorithm and a flow chart to develop a problem and then find ways and means of solving the problem. Medical doctors are doing pretty well, okay, and they are not getting the support that they need to get to be able to solve problems. I'm limiting it to Ghana. They can't even have money for research. Forget about that. Emotional surgery is the art of using color coding frequencies, okay, to develop ideators, to navigate the brain, all right, to be creative. When I think of students coming out to say that they cannot get jobs, it makes me feel uncomfortable. What did you learn at school? What has happened to your mind? What has happened to the brain? Now, the brain is the hardware and the mind is the software. So if you're not able to combine these two, you become an entity in society. So I developed emotional surgery to correct that problem, for you to be creative and then solve problems.
Forgive me, but I find the explanation still a bit complex, and I'm just thinking in my mind that my viewers would also have been lost in this. So the question I asked, and I'd like us to take the conversation step by step so we arrive at a conclusion where we will all understand. I asked a question about surgery and about emotions, and I said in the layperson's mind, surgery connotes opening up of the human body physically, and emotions connote something that is not tangible, for example. And so when you talk about emotional surgery, I do understand where you were talking about using color codes to correct certain emotions. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
How does that work?
It is virtual. You see, each color has a frequency and they have effects on your neurons. I should bring in the neurons. The neurons are the building blocks of the brain, and they understand colors. Now, I didn't bring any of my softwares here. I would have, displayed it for you to know what I'm talking about. They send signals through the optical nerve pathways, meaning your eyes, then the neurons will receive it. They convert it into electrical impulse and then send it through neurotransmitters. These are biochemicals, and execution, is done. Now, I'm talking to you moving my hands. This is the work of the motor neuron. All right? Mm-hmm. Now, you are using your senses and other things within your mind to understand what I'm saying. Okay? Now, if your neurons are not firing properly, there is no way you would understand anything on the side. And there's no way you would understand what I'm trying to say over here. This is on a higher pedestal, and it runs even ahead of neuroscience. This is a software I developed long time ago just to solve problems. Emotional surgery is virtual surgery.
Okay, so let me put it this way. When we say somebody needs a heart surgery,
good,
it is established that the person has a heart condition. You spoke about hernia, which many of us, maybe erroneously so, believe to be a preserve of men. It's a men's disease where there's a problem with the scrotum and it has to be corrected by opening up some portions and correcting that problem. So anytime we think about surgery, we think about a certain kind of ailment which needs to be corrected. What is the ailment before we go in for emotional surgery? What are we correcting?
Okay, thank you. You see, people get traumatized. Can you see the traumatic condition in the brain? No. But it's within the brain. Based on how the neurons fire, you see that through the way the person acts or reacts towards, questions, what have you. So all I need to do is to correct that thing. Let's say post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. They claim there's no cure, but I have a cure for it. Let me explain what post-traumatic stress disorder is. Anytime there's a panic attack, okay, or there is an incident that scares you, the amygdala, okay, is a system within the limbic system, which is part of the brain. The amygdala is the panic alarm system. It will prompt the hippocampus, which is memory, and it will store the incident. Okay, now the amygdala would continue, hitting the hippocampus about what has happened. It is left with the hippocampus to report to the forecortex that this is what I have been told by the amygdala, the panic alarm system. Now, if the hippocampus does not report to the forecortex, okay, the forecortex would not be able to prompt the amygdala to stop that system or the alarm system. I hope you understand me.
I'm following.
Now, if the forecortex doesn't stop the amygdala, there will be a loop, okay, within the limbic system, and that is what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. It will keep looping till the forecortex stops the amygdala. They'll stop it. Nothing has happened again. Just end what you experienced, and the person will be fine. Now, I'm using emotional surgery to correct that problem because it is not something that you can see with your naked eyes, but you can see through the person's actions, and then you just stop it. It's on a higher pedestal. I have tested this, with Professor Juma Bedua Kusa. We've tested this at cardio, so I know how effective this is.
So stress is a common problem across the world.
Yes.
And
it's very simple to solve. You don't need any medication, oral medication. You don't need it because the brain, okay, stress affects the brain and the heart. Within the heart, we have similar neurons.
Let's define stress from where you sit. What is stress? Is it so? Sometimes I get tired at work, and somebody will ask, "So what's wrong with you?" I just feel stressed, meaning I'm tired, not because I'm going through some emotional pain or so. Where you sit, what does stress mean?
Stress is not muscle tiredness. Stress is an emotional virus. that eats away your creative intelligence and happiness. That is stress. See, the brain operates within a certain frequency, and it has to stay within that rhythm. If it goes above it, it will cause stress. If it operates below it, it will cause stress. That is it. Stress has nothing to do with your muscles. It has to do with your mind. You know, when your mind is not able to contain what is coming through your optical nerve pathways or the auditory system, and you cannot contain, that is stressful. You cannot control it.
So a typical average Ghanaian, and fortunately it's the end of the month, he receives his monthly salary, and then all of a sudden it dawns on him that electricity bills have to be paid, water bills have to be paid, the gas has run out from the cylinder, the two children have returned from school with a note from the school authorities asking that they pay school fees on Monday or they shouldn't come to school at all. A child has just fallen sick. A parent has been admitted into hospital, almost on the verge of dying. And all this, the person looks at the amount of money available and the responsibilities that money has to take care of is just not enough, and he relapses into a certain mood. The only solution from where I sit is to call such a person and say, look, here's an additional 1,000 cedis, here's an additional 2,000 cedis, go and solve your problem, and he will be he'll be fine. You're saying there's another way to go about it?
Yes. See, people are not eating right. I have what I call neuronutrition, and it helps the brain. It helps the neurons. They are the building blocks of the brain. If they are not being fed properly, there is no way you would perform. Now, the person did not plan properly because the neurons were not working properly.
Right.
Yes. It's, from my point of view, it means the person has a serious psychological problem.
How? That the person's income, and I'm using that as an example, the person's income is not enough to meet his needs, his responsibilities, and then that means he's not responsible?
Yes, he has a problem.
How?
Watch this. You know your income, and you keep, producing children. What is wrong with you? You need to plan, because you're making the children suffer. You need to think, put things on the table, write them down. You just don't go ahead and give birth. Do you understand me? You know your income, so plan around it. It's very simple. And that is the mind working. The mind is the software. The brain is the hardware. Just like your computer, every now and then you need to upgrade it to be able to run at par with time. Now, if you bring in an old software to perform modern, projects or programs, what do you think will happen? We need to upgrade the system. That is what I'm doing. Because you don't bring in books that you read, theories that you learned years ago to come and solve today's problem. No, it wouldn't work.
Are you aware that and recently, just about a month or two ago, the world celebrated World Suicide Prevention Day, that a lot of Ghanaians have in the past and even now continue to commit suicide. Most of the time when you look into the cases, you find out that these were people who had for months, sometimes for years, been going through certain levels of stress that nobody actually knew they were going through. How will a third person or a second person be able to detect and know that, look, Mr. Thompson, from what I'm seeing, you need help, you need emotional surgery, for example. Moomen, what I'm seeing, he needs help, and maybe make recommendations. How are you able to identify, even for yourself, that, look, the stage I've got into, I think I need help? What are the symptoms of somebody who is under so much stress that the person needs emotional surgery?
Watch this. Most of the time, if you're living with a person, okay, or the person is your neighbor, watch the way they dress. The way they dress can tell you what actually is happening to the person. Watch this. We know Moomen, dresses well. He puts on blue, white, that kind of thing. The moment you see Moomen wearing bright, hot colors, that should tell you something. If it's a lady, she'll put on red lipstick, daylight, very hot sun. It has to tell you something, that she has a problem. The way the person walks, the way the person talks, just compare. You would know that the person has a problem. It's very simple. Maybe because you're not in my field, you don't get what I'm trying to say. But usually, I use scientific terms. That is what I understand to explain, what I'm telling you right now. You just have to be watchful. Be each, the skipper, and then you know what I'm trying to tell you. Watch the way they dress. That should tell you.
So that's from a third person's point of view. But how about the first person, the one who is affected? Sometimes people don't even know what they're going through themselves. What should people look out for in themselves to the extent that they would now have to look for people like you and say, look, I need help?
They wouldn't tell you because it's psychological. Most of the time, you see a madman, you ask him a few questions. You are mad, or are you mad? He'll tell you no. But just give him some few tests, and he'll fail. They wouldn't know. You have to tell them that they have this problem before they would accept it. And nobody would accept that they have mental problems, because the moment you raise that question, they will just reject it straight away. They will reject it. It's something that is with human beings.
No, but everybody goes through some form of stress. Yesterday, for example, even as a journalist, I came across a story where a family driving on the motorway, were involved in an accident. An innocent schoolgirl died, the father paralyzed, and the wife gets out and is confused. It broke me down for a while. But that does not mean I have become abnormal and I need help. Because over time, the human body has a way of recovering itself.
That is the amygdala that I made mention of. The amygdala, that is the panic alarm system. That was what started working when you saw the accident. Okay? So it just had to prompt you that, hey, where you are is pretty dangerous. It can happen to you. Protect yourself. That is it. Not that, you were feeling for them. The amygdala was telling you that stay away from that scene, because similar thing can happen to you at that time. That is it. Everything is everything operates within the brain. Now, did they find out the cause of the accident? I can tell you straight away that it could have come from lack of sleep. If you don't sleep, okay, if you don't have quality sleep, you will die.
Somebody was
People die early
reading from the mobile phone whilst driving, and according to eyewitnesses, that's what led to the accident. Reading or checking a message from the mobile phone, is that a psychological disorder? Is that something that has got to do with the brain? Is it?
It has to do with the brain. The person has not been sleeping properly. He's not getting the 8 hours that we all need as adults every day. Listen, if you do not sleep well, it has been established that 711 of your genes get distorted. And out of the 711 genes that have been distorted, half of them engineer accidents. They cause the cancers, the tumors, and almost all the diseases that we have in this world. But people do not know. Most of the time, executives, they accept it because, oh, it's normal. I can only sleep for 4 hours. I'm fine. But you are not fine. You are building up psychological sedimentary rocks in your brain. And later on in life, you will develop dementia or Alzheimer's. Now, Alzheimer's comes from toxic proteins, which we call beta amyloid. Now, when you sleep, okay, after 16 hours of wakefulness, you need to sleep. And when you sleep during the night, right, I'm using this, the software to open the vaults within your brain to flash out the toxic protein so that you don't develop Alzheimer's later in life. When you develop Alzheimer's later in life, you see, it blocks the beta amyloid that I made mention of. It blocks the operations of your neurons. These are the building blocks of the brain. They hold the brain. And when they start destroying it, later on in life, you develop diseases and die. That is what is killing people. Now, that person, okay, now, there was something wrong with the brain. He did not sleep well. Most of the time, I listen to the news, they talk about accidents on the road. It's from lack of quality sleep.
Many of us are not sleeping, including myself. I mean, Mr. Thompson, for example, in Accra, and I believe in other parts of the world where we have very busy cities, people live in the central region and work in Accra. We know people who live far away in Dowenya and Prapram and work in Accra. You have to report to work sometimes at 8 o'clock. If you leave the house at 6, you'll get to the office at 10. And so people leave their homes as early as 4 a.m. in order to beat traffic and arrive at work in good time. They return home sometimes after 10, and which means the 8-hour sleep that you are talking about is practically impossible to achieve in the lives of contemporary Ghanaian workers and others across the world, I believe. How do we solve this problem?
You see, I keep saying that people's minds are not working properly. You know very well that where you're living is far from your job. Look for another job to protect yourself.
Have you seen the unemployment rates in this country? Have you seen it? Yes, that would have been ideal, but the reality is the jobs are simply not available. If you leave a job today, somebody else will take it, and you will find none. So, and for people who even struggled for years to get a job, that is no option.
See, Mo, I don't have a problem with getting a job because I went to school to learn. All right? Now, after learning, you should be thinking ahead of time, what am I going to do if I don't get anybody to employ me? You have mates, right? Let's say you studied software engineering, all right? All you need to do is to look for problems within your area or the country that you live in. Look for problems, and you guys should come together and develop a software to solve problems. You don't go to school and be looking out for jobs. You don't do that. Think of yourself. Think about yourself. Think of what you're going to do for yourself. Don't be thinking about who is going to get you employed. It's not right. It shows some level of laziness. That is how I see it.
I don't entirely agree with you that it's so.
No, I don't mean to say that they are lazy, but my point is this, that your health first. Okay, your health first. Now, if you're not healthy, there's no way you can help the company that you are working with or working for. That's what I'm trying to say over here. Make sure you have the right frame, you are in the right frame of mind all the time. And sleep is not like a bank that you have most of the time. This is what people say. I can accumulate it and then sleep on Saturdays and all that. No, you don't have to do that.
Really?
No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If you do that, you're going to kill yourself. That, you see, when I look at the age group that we have here, I don't want to scare anybody. What I'm seeing now, none of them would attain the age of 50 and they will die. From what I have collected, none of them will attain the age of 50. They all die. because they have destroyed the system. Just as I made mention of the genes getting distorted. Yeah. It's very simple. How much money do we vote for research in this country? None. But I have used my own money to do the research. I studied in America. And I've been, I've been taught by
What is it that's going to kill most of the people within the bracket you just described?
Go ahead. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Listen, because they are not having quality sleep. They are sleeping under 8 hours. I'm talking about adults. The youth is supposed to be having more than 10 hours of sleep. They are sleeping even less than 3 hours a night. And you are disturbing the heart and the brain. Now, if you want to develop diabetes, okay, sleep for 4 hours a day for 6 days. You would have the pre-diabetic condition. And if you want to develop cardiovascular diseases or disorders, shorten your sleep hours. That's it. The following day you have effects. Ask any cardiologist. That is it.
So sleep is a major cause of our emotional problems.
Not our emotional problems alone. Every disease in the world has a link, okay, with or to sleep, the number of hours that we sleep. If you sleep less, we develop so many diseases.
Do you have any appointments for tomorrow, for example? I mean, you don't have to give me the details, but do you have appointments for tomorrow?
Well, I don't know the calls that will come in tonight.
If you get a call tonight about an appointment, a very important appointment that you have to make, say at 6 a.m., you are in the studio now, it's getting to 9 o'clock, and I will not state where you live, but I've just been told that you live quite far away on a very busy street in Accra, where you are likely to encounter traffic even after 9 p.m., which means that you might get home close to 11 p.m. It would mean that you have to wake up a lot earlier to make it for that appointment at 7, which means you will not get the entire 8 hours which you are proposing here. You see what a lot of people are going through?
My health first. Even if the president calls me,
right,
I wouldn't go. My health first. That is me. I've been doing this for years, and I'm always healthy. My health first.
You will be described as lazy. You are lazy.
No.
The president calls you to meet him at 6 a.m. and at 6 a.m. you are asleep. Your wife will be mad at you. Your children will call you a lazy man. They will call you an irresponsible father. You have an opportunity to meet the president, and you choose to sleep instead because you're talking about your health.
Listen, you see, the reason why we have so many cardiovascular diseases is based on some of these things. You are thinking of material things because you're going to meet the president. Okay, your health first. All right? So make sure you have your 8 hours of sleep. And then you think of secondary items. That's me. My health first. I don't want to die early. Those that do not sleep for the regular number of hours that they are supposed to sleep, they die early. It's as simple as that.
Wow. So
now,
yes.
Now, if you know that you're going to meet, you have a meeting, let's say tomorrow morning, a very important meeting, make sure you sleep, okay, early. That is all. And make sure you have your 8 hours. The 8 hours is very, very important as an adult.
All right. So let me engage a few of my my viewers right now. Amos Yao Asante says, "Good evening, Moomen. What of those of us who simply cannot sleep early? I go to bed at 8 o'clock and my eyes stay awake until sometimes after midnight before I go to sleep. And by 4 a.m. my body clock will wake me up and I cannot sleep until the following night, and the cycle goes on."
See, he's preparing himself for diseases later on in life. Has he been drinking or taking sedatives? Ask him. If you take sedatives, or if you take coffee, if you take caffeinated, food or beverages, it's going to disturb your sleep pattern. So just stay away from them. These sedatives, they don't help. They litter the brain. Let me show you something. Sleeping tablets. If you take sleeping tablets for 18 months, you will die.
Continuously
Yes,
for 18
months, you will die. It's as simple as that. Sleeping tablets doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It litters the brain. It just shuts the forecortex, the chief executive of the brain. It just shuts that section off, and the person sleeps. It's just like a person having hangover.
Right.
Okay, you think the alcohol that you took made you sleep. That's a lie. When you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? You have that kind of body discomfort telling you that things didn't work properly in the night. So you have to stop it. You will die pretty soon. Nobody has to distort the sleep pattern. You see, nature has made it in such a way that even animals, look at the chicken. By 6 o'clock, sometimes they fly because they want to beat time and then sleep. How come human beings have disobeyed nature? That is what is killing us and giving us strange diseases. Ask any neuroscientist. That is it. That is what is happening. Lack of sleep, quality sleep, is what is killing us and creating diseases. And we don't understand. But some of us, we do. We do understand it.
Right. Amos, so you got your answer. Farouk Seidu says, good evening. What of somebody who has an ailment and the doctors have put that person on a date to be worked upon? And by worked upon, I'm sure you are talking about to have surgery performed on that person. If that is right, then I'll continue. For such a person, we will go through, I'm sure you are going through it yourself, is that what you are saying, a lot of fears of whether we will survive or not. How can we handle that kind of stress even before the surgery is performed?
What kind of fear is he talking about? He's talking about anxiety?
I'm sure it's anxiety. So he's preparing for
surgery.
For surgery.
It's
surgery.
Yeah. No, it's simple. I will send the person through emotional surgery by introducing certain things. You just have to talk to him, then flash it out of the brain. It's simple. Even the doctors who are going to perform the surgery, okay, the team, I need to send them through surgery. Through emotional surgery. Just to keep the mind in good shape so that they don't make mistakes. See, the emotional surgery technology that I'm talking of over here, it's on a higher pedestal. I mean, Moomen, if you are not an experienced scientist, as Professor Jiman Akosa and a few others, you would never understand what I'm talking about, because your brain cannot, it's not up there to understand what we are doing. This is highly scientific, top class.
So persons who are about to go through some procedure medically and are concerned about whether they will survive it or not, and are anxious, you are saying you can help them through that process?
Yeah, it's very simple. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. It's very simple, Moomen. Very simple. Just flash it out. You see, fear is a signal, and the brain understands it. So all I need to do is to send the person through emotional surgery. I have my own gadgets that I use, and then flash it out of the system. That is all. It's very simple.
Stephen Arumba says, good evening. My mother died a little over 2 years ago. I have gotten over the death, but my sister has been weak ever since. Is there a way she can get out of that problem?
Yes. First of all, I need to know the age. Okay? Whether she has a television set in the bedroom. All right? I need to talk to her.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Ask her a few questions and I will know. She just has to call me, not seeing me physically, no. Call me by the phone. I'll ask a few questions and I'll show her what to do, and that thing will vanish.
Tell me, how does it work? How does emotional surgery work?
I have studied the brain for more than 30 years, about 40 years. Okay. And I try to understand why people do certain things. All right? Now, I started looking at the neurons. Those are the building blocks of the brain, how they work. Within the brain, we have what we call organelles. These organelles are special structures, and they perform special duties in the within the cells. Now, if there's a problem with any of these organelles, they can generate problems. It's as simple as that. If you do not understand the science field, you wouldn't understand where I'm coming from. But if I should sit you down and show you the brain, how it functions, this one will move to this side, this one has to do A, this one has to follow it or pick it up. It's just like the military system. We have the CDS, you know, we have chain of command. Okay, you don't have to jump. When it jumps, there will be a problem. A disease will just pop up. So it has to go through that chain of command.
Again, I'll return to the issue of medical surgery itself. I mean, doctors, conventional doctors as we know them, how do you work with them? Because again, what you're telling us is that I get the impression that it is interlinked, that the emotional surgery is one aspect, but we still need to go through physical surgery in some instances. Do you collaborate with doctors in any way?
Yeah, Professor Mamedu Akusa is a doctor, and he's a pathologist. And he's not an ordinary pathologist. He's a scientist.
Of course, yes.
You know, and I have a couple of friends, you know, in the medical field. In Ghana,
for those who don't know, Prof. Mamedu Akusa, one-time Director General of the Ghana Health Service, is the one you're referring to?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a couple of friends, you know, at Cardio, the National Cardiothoracic Center. If you go there, you will see some of my works. I made that thing for them, and Professor Koplan Frempong bought it for them. Why did I do that? You know, these guys are they are intelligent people, all right? And their work is so delicate. If they should make a mistake, somebody will die. So I created a special type of masterpiece. It's a painting that would just work on their brains. Anytime they get to work, to just work on the brain, defragment the brain. I hope you understand defragment in the computer field.
Of course.
Defragment it, because when they wake up in the morning, they go through traffic, you know, the problems they go through at home with their children, the wife, that kind of thing. I need to flash it out and set the brain straight so that they can go to the theater and then perform what they need to do without making mistakes. That is what I do. I talk to brain cells. And I don't know if I'm the only person who talks to brain cells in the world. I talk to brain cells.
That's the question I was about to ask you. Are there any other emotional surgeons? You appear to be the only one I have read about.
Yes, I'm the only person because I invented it. I invented it.
Tell me some of your stories. Have you worked on anybody? If you have, what were the stories and how did it start? How did it end? Tell me.
Listen, when I was in the States, a friend of mine called me that she couldn't give birth. Right? She had 2 already. And she told me that, I mean, the rest, I don't know what was happening. Well, I never spoke to the gynecologist or embryologist, whatever. I just listened to her and I flew down to Ghana. Right? 2 weeks later, she called me that she was pregnant. She went, actually I took her to the hospital myself because she wanted to find out if it was true. She gave birth to twins. And there are some people that I wouldn't want to mention their names because they, they operate within special areas. I don't want to mention their names. People suffering from, spinal problems, all those things. I've helped them through emotional surgery.
But the spine is a physical thing in the body. How are you able to correct a problem with the spine through emotional surgery? You need to use the hands, something to get into the body to.
It's not always so. Why am I saying this? You see, the brain uses electrical impulse, okay, and biochemicals to execute its jobs. All right. Now, everything is running from the brain through your spine, the nerves. These are electrical systems. Sometimes a nerve, okay, a disc could be pushing a nerve, and it will cause numbness For instance, the third and fourth lumbar, okay, the disc within that area, if it shifts, this side can get numb. And I have a way of fixing it for them. I don't touch the body, but I'll fix it. Don't think too far.
I'm thinking very far. And I'm beginning even to think like you're a mind reader. Are you reading my mind?
You see, you have to live, sometimes you need to live beyond your biological existence.
What does that mean?
You are a human being, okay? And you're a spirit, all right? Living in a body. So you have to think beyond that. Are you Muslim?
I am Muslim.
Good. I have the Quran and I have the Bible. And I read both. And these are two good books, two powerful good books. And they help a lot.
I read beyond the Quran and the Bible as well.
Thank you. Good.
But that doesn't make me an emotional surgeon. I can't read people's minds.
No, that is not your area. That is not your interest. That's not your passion. Okay. Now, you need to follow your passion and you enjoy life.
All right. Sleep is very important, and this is GH for you. Sleep is very important. You won't notice the effect earlier, but it is killing the body gradually in the form of step one, step after, in the form of one step after the other. The brain and the mind are very key. Can we say this is a form of therapy? Emotional surgery, he's asking, is it a form of therapy?
Yes, it is. It is. Let me tell you something. See, most of our executives are not well. They are not well, but they have just accepted that they are well, but they are not well because they are not sleeping. They are not sleeping. The sleep hours have been cut short, and it's going to kill them. That is the reason why we have sudden death. Why would they work for, like, you go on retirement at the age of 60? At 60, you are very young. Even 75-year-old, I call them very young. I call them teenagers. Why should you die? You go on retirement 5 years, 10 years, they are gone with their big brains and ideas. Take good care of your sleep hours. Take good care of yourself. Sleep well. Sleep is not a bank that you can just go and then withdraw because you didn't sleep yesterday. You have to. No, you don't have to do that. And it's rather unfortunate that people talk about the fact that when you die, you have... No. To me, it's not right. It doesn't click.
Do you have a hospital?
No. I'm trying to build one. I started one when I got to this country, but they demolished it. I don't want to go into details. They demolished it.
You defied your own rules. Who demolished it to start with?
You want me to mention names?
No, well, if you have to mention names, why not?
Snake did it. You know about the Dunkona case. Wager.
So you engaged in an illegality.
No. I bought the land from the Jamestown Palace. And when I bought it, okay, I don't want to mention this judge's name. If you want me to mention
that will take us away from the substance of the matter we're discussing now. I just asked about that not because I want the details of how you bought the land.
They ruled in my favor.
Yes.
They ruled in my favor. And Senate is supposed to pay me. But Ghana, today this, tomorrow that, today this. I don't have interest in that. My interest is to save human lives. All right? Once the court said they should pay or they should settle what they demolished and they are not doing it, and Senate is working for the government. This happened in Kufuor's administration. So just let it go. My mind is set to save human lives.
But how? You don't have a location, you don't have a hospital, well, I don't know how to even call it. But if you had a location, if you had would you call it a hospital?
You see, what I'm doing right now, okay, is to help the medical field. Yes. All right? So it's a form of therapy. Okay, so I just have to set up my system, send whatever I need to send through my friends who are medical doctors. If we need to take you through, it's not a medical thing, so I cannot call a Ministry of Health to give me any license. No.
That's exactly the point I was coming to.
No.
Because even counseling, persons who are marriage counselors, you need some form of certification.
Because they went to school to learn that thing, okay, to be given a certificate. This is something that I have developed myself, right? And nobody can give me that certification because you don't understand it.
But so why should the state entrust people's lives and well-being in your care, in your hands? There must certainly be some way that the state can get you to be accountable for the activities that you engage in, especially since it involves the emotions, the lives of people.
I'm not giving you medication to take. I'm just advising you.
That's what I mean. I referred to counselors, for example. They don't give medication, but the words they spew can change people's lives for the better or for the worse. And because of that, they need to be certified and they need to be accountable for the things they do and say to people.
Okay. Now, let me put it this way. This is what I do. I draw. I talk to you, then I draw. Then I ask you to look at it. You will tell me what is happening, and I will be able to tell what has happened to you. I just draw. It's a drawing.
We have a few minutes left. Can you identify my problem for me? Can we do something? Can we demonstrate something here?
No, I don't. I didn't bring the software here, but I have it on my phone. I have it on my phone.
If I invite you here again, will you bring your software so we demonstrate this?
Sure.
I'm asking this because on my WhatsApp platform, I'm getting a lot of interest. People asking very many interesting questions. But they wanted to see, basically, a demonstration of how this works. Can you describe it for us?
Okay. See, I have over I think I have 980 trillion colors. I developed it myself. I built the computer myself, so anytime I'm drawing and I change the colors, the computer starts counting. That's how I got to know the number of colors that I've created. I have my own colors, and these colors communicate meanings, okay, to the brain. And most of the time, I talk to your neurons. You know the neurons. These are cells, and they build the brain. And I talk to them. It has been proven at cardio. Okay, I had GBC, had a documentary, with Dr. Cole Enchamin's a very intelligent, cardiothoracic surgeon. He went through that. Professor Kwabena Frimpong bought some of my paintings that I've been using for that kind of surgery for cardio. Professor Mabudu Akosa has my paintings. And the Brian Moore Hospital is a rehab hospital in Philadelphia. They have my paintings. In fact, they actually pushed me to create this software.
Are you an artist?
Yes, I'm an artist. I hesitated because I didn't learn art at school. It's an inborn thing that I developed to entertain the brain, to calm the system and tune the body's rhythm to base equilibrium. Now, if Ghana government or Ministry of Health would, well, I need to work it out through my, medical professors, to get whatever I need to get to be able to establish this. Because I know it's going to fetch this country a lot of money. Emotional surgery, if you should have an emotional surgery center or complex, it will fetch Ghana a lot of money. It is going to boost medical tourism.
A lot of people asking, do you do consultation? If you do, how can people reach you?
Well, you can talk to me over the phone. So far, I've never charged anybody. No.
Really?
No, I've never charged anybody. Listen,
what do you do for a living?
The reason why I paint. Sometimes I paint and then, give it out. That's it. And I have my own savings. I work in America. I worked for the late Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft.
Yes, I know. And you've been in Ghana for how long?
I came to Ghana, I think I've been here for about 10 years.
And you're still living on your savings?
Yes.
After 10 years?
Yes.
I retired. You must have saved a lot.
Yes, you have to. You see, when I started life, I mean, growing up, I had to plan. Which was the reason why I started bashing at people, that kind of thing. I had to plan. And then work towards it. You don't spend your money on, drink. I don't drink. I don't go to club. And I live alone. That's it.
You have children?
I have a child. He's in London. But I'm now single.
That's not a very happy life you're living.
Why? You see, I'm very happy because I have achieved what I wanted to achieve in life by finding ways and means.
Society's definition of a happy man is one who is married, has children around him at your age, and you live together. You live alone. You can't be happy living alone.
I'm happy. Listen, everything is based on how you define you define happiness in your own way, right? You don't have to let somebody define it for you. Nobody can make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. That's it. I talk to my family, and I'm okay. If I need to see them, I just have to fly outside the country. But I'm always thinking of how to help the human system. So
Do you ever get stressed yourself?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Nothing stresses you out?
Nothing.
Have you ever lost a loved one? Has somebody you love ever died?
Yes.
And you were not stressed out?
No.
You did. Then you didn't love them.
Hold on. I love my mother. My mother made me who I am today.
She
Apart
passed
from God. God, is everybody's. Everybody focuses on God. But I loved my mother so much. But she made me know that at a point in time she will leave me alone. So I had prepared my mind for that.
Right.
That's it. So it never bothered me. Just that I lost my advisor and my mother, my friend. She was my friend, and she taught me Christ when I was 5 years old, and I have been in that, faith till today. I don't get stressed.
Were you married at some point?
Yes.
And you divorced?
Yes.
Emotionally, you couldn't perform surgery on yourself and on your wife? Why? What happened?
No, I don't understand the
No,
question.
well, I'm asking because for you to have divorced, and sorry, I do not mean to pry into your private life.
No, I'm okay.
But I'm asking this to make a point.
Yeah.
If you, that for you to have divorced means that you could not solve a problem that involved your own emotions and that of your wife, and therefore you had to part ways at a point.
No, that's not it. Listen, if you're moving with someone, okay, and the person, if you love the person, you have to do what the person likes. If she's no longer interested in the marriage, I don't see why you should, send her through that kind of emotional system. Just allow, divorce to go on. It's very simple. Why do you have to stress somebody's daughter or stress yourself?
Have you ever gone to bed and couldn't sleep because something was worrying you?
Yes, something was worrying me because somebody called me that, she was having a problem and I needed to solve it. But I didn't want to solve it around that time because I had to sleep. My life first. If I should die, who would help you? That's what I do, my life first. So that I can have enough time to think about what I need to do to help you.
So we in the coming weeks, if you allow us, we would have to get you back here because a lot of the questions I'm getting relate to a demonstration of how this works, and so this conversation hasn't represented that. So, and we've run out of time now. So next time, if you will accept our invitation, we would like you to come with some of your paintings, some of the things that can demonstrate to people how this whole idea of emotional surgery works. And we are particularly proud of you because you are a Ghanaian and you're the first to have started this ever. We would like to be part of the journey of making this go global. And so as we wrap up, look to Ghanaians and tell them how to deal with issues that concern their emotions and how you come into the picture for them. And probably you can also leave your number for those who may want to contact you with their problems.
Well, all that I can, thank you for that opportunity. All that I'm trying to or I would want to tell people is that, you know, there's no cause for alarm. Every disease has a cure. If the medical field cannot solve it, we can solve it.
AIDS does not have a cure.
That's not true. It is not true.
Says you?
Yes, it is not true.
WHO. You can't know better than the WHO.
Listen, let me tell you something about science. Science is always dictating to people that has your destiny or whatever you have developed, has it been proven, has it been certified by science? Listen, move and let science follow you. You see, people use certain things to obstruct the development of certain projects.
I'm sorry to have interrupted, so you wrap it up. So we will have this conversation again, really, so we can ask all
do whatever you need to do and let science come and learn from you. Let science come and learn from me. Call the WHO and sit. We will sit down and I'll show them what they need to do, where the problems are. My phone number is 0244-585-664. 0244-585-664. Call me in the morning around 9 o'clock till 6 p.m. and I will answer your questions for you. You see, you are your own first doctor. You know your body more than any other person. So you need to help your doctor if there's any issue.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Robert Grimond Thompson, emotional surgery specialist. Indeed, he's the one who has introduced this concept of emotional surgery. We've been trying to understand. A lot of you also sending me messages. They were asking you to break down the issues that you were speaking scientifically, and they wanted you to break down the issues. So that's why we'll have a part 2. So Mr. Thompson will be here in the studio next time with all the accoutrements to demonstrate to us how emotional surgery is done, and then probably also during that conversation we'll be able to tell you where you can't see beyond the phone calls as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Robert Grimond Thompson. We are grateful to you. And thank you also for being a part of the show. We'll be back here again with another edition. Until then, you have a very, very good night. Bye-bye. Wow. Great conversation.
Right. By some of your appointments, you appear to be creating a parallel civil service.
2020 is not too far away from today. Are we seeing a comeback?
Would you say that HIPIC truly served any purpose?
The debt overhang on the economy of our country was such that the country couldn't bear it.
We've moved more people out of poverty and hunger since 1992 than any other era in the period of Ghana.
Under